Good morning, Steffi. I'm in the snow-covered upstate New York area, under 4 inches of fresh, powdery snow.
Oh, it's like a little snow globe with a former spy in the middle.
I'm
Um,
going snowshoeing.
well, Malcolm, I first of all, I just have to ask you. I thought of you immediately when we heard about Biden's call with Putin yesterday.
Yeah,
Just to have an American president, that sounds like an American president, right?
right.
And it held Putin to account for all of his atrocities, I guess, right? And it sounds like, I mean, the readout of calls with allies sound like calls to allies, and the adversaries like Putin sound like calls with adversaries. It just is like, oh my God, what a relief, right?
Oh, the
Oh,
great recalibration starts. And this is the best thing that could have happened to America. I know we've been on since the inauguration, but this was a very close thing. A very close thing to losing American democracy. And this is what happens when you get a real American president in power who understands what America is, who decides he's not going to throw away 75 years of alliances and align himself with a foreign dictator. And, I'm sure Putin was quite surprised to hear that Biden wanted to speak to him right away. But I think that Biden did the right thing by bringing it to the table and saying, "Hey, Vladimir, here's what's going to happen. We are going to have a relationship with you that is based on these factors. One, you attacked the United States. Two, you did a cyber attack against the United States. Three, you threatened the lives of American service members around the world. Four, you want to control nuclear weapons? Fine, we'll discuss that. But Russian unchained oligarchy and funding attacks on the United States using Americans, using the American court system, that's even more interesting. It's only going to get rougher for Russia. And, I think as we start finding out the real relationship between Donald Trump and Vladimir Putin, it's going to get even rougher on them.
well, right. I mean, but just the fact that, he talked about, the arrest of Navalny, talked about the poisoning, brought up, but you're right, held every single thing, election interference, bounties on soldiers. And also it looks like, Mr. Art of the deal couldn't even get a nuclear deal that Biden's got probably like that, because this is, like you say, this is how you deal with Russia.
Sure. I mean, but Trump pulled out of the START treaty, the Strategic Arms Reduction talks or treaty, with the intent to make a Trump treaty. And for any of you who's read my book, Plot to Betray America, you know that in the 1970s, he published a full-page article in a full-page advertisement in the New York Times requesting George Herbert Walker Bush put him in charge of the great nuclear reduction treaties so that he could call himself a peacemaker and, once again, strive to get a Nobel Peace Prize. I mean, all he did was just dismantle everything and try to put the Trump name on it and take credit for it. Now Biden's going to get credit if these treaties happen, and they'll happen because Russia doesn't need all these atomic bombs. They're putting their money into destroying democracy through money, right? Through oligarchy, through Western elections. This hasn't stopped, and Russia's support of Trump certainly is not going to stop.
Yeah, I mean, and they obviously are, behind, trying to foment more of this chaos that happened on January 6th, correct?
Oh, well, I have a new book coming out, which we talked about, called They Want to Kill Americans.
Yeah.
That's the name of the book. And it's about the armed militias, the fanatic terrorists, and the deranged ideology of the coming Trump insurgency. For those of you who pay attention to what I say, you might recall that I was on Bill Maher's show on November 6th, where I said we were about to have an insurgency, which started with this insurrection on January 6th. And now that you see the Senate fold on convicting Trump, and they will fold, he won't get convicted. Maybe at the edge, he'll get a letter of censure, right? A harshly worded note. But this is the beginning of a new phase of Trump's rise to power, right? He fully intends to take over the Republican Party. He fully intends to determine who is and who is not going to be elected in the Republican Party over the next few years. At some point, he's going to get Trump TV and a Trump media outlet that will allow him to use his voice on Parler and the rest of it. And we will be dealing with essentially Saddam Hussein hiding in a hole, but running a full-scale, low-grade civil war in the United States.
I tend to disagree. I think he's going to be too tied up with legal matters, state, local, possibly federally. I mean, I refuse to believe there is not going to be any accountability. I mean, I think you're right. The Republicans are cowards. I mean, Bryce Taft said it best. He said 45 Republican senators are okay with the president inciting a mob of people to storm the Capitol and hunt down their colleagues. I mean, so you're right. You can never expect anything of Republicans, but, I'm with our friend Glenn Kirshner. I believe justice is coming in one form or another.
Sure. But, one of the things that I'm looking forward to, since we're talking about legal terms, Trump literally will get away with murder if he is not brought to account. So why are there not thousands of civil suits for deaths during coronavirus? Due to his incompetence. Why are there not? Yeah. Why is the widow of the police officer who was slain not filing a $2 billion wrongful death suit for inciting insurrection against Trump himself? You want to make it hurt? Make it so he can't afford to pay his rent. But his job, I mean, what he's planning on doing right now is he has his base under control. They will give him every nickel that they have. He'll earn $1 billion in legal defense funds, enough to fill him with Big Macs until the day he dies. So this is, but for the rest of us who have to deal with this harsh reality, his people, the Proud Boys, the 3%ers, the Oath Keepers, these people intend to fight. I'm reading them every day. They're all still saying the same thing. We need to be prepared. We need to buy more ammo. I don't think this is going to end well for any of us, but Donald Trump is the nexus of all trouble in America right now. And the Republicans are enabling him.
Look, I was saying the Hakeem Jeffries family being threatened at their homes on their cell phones. I mean, like I said, Malcolm, January 6th, and you said this, it's not over January 6th. I mean, you've warned for a long time what Donald Trump has been fomenting.
Well, and I get those threats too. I didn't get one as deep and as specific as Hakeem Jeffries. And it's always funny because I had somebody come after me this week. Oh yeah, Brian Straka. This was the guy, if you guys remember Politicon 2 years ago in Nashville.
Wait, hang on a second. You tweeted about this. I was there with you. Right. You said this guy and his Black Trump group, consisting of one black guy rapper, attacked April Ryan at Politicon in Nashville in 2019. I was there with you, and I had to shut him down. It seems he stormed the Capitol. Oh, my God.
And he has been arrested.
Right. You said, why are all these right-wing crazies that come after me? How come they always end up in orange jumpsuits?
Baked Alaska? That guy, Politicon 2017. How come we can't say white pride? And literally spoke to me for 20 minutes on camera and thought that he had punked me when everybody on the internet was like, dude, that guy owns you. You thanked him for his service. I mean, all of these people think they're going to come out here and that they feel that they are the armed enforcers of the Trump world. And what we are showing them now, and, I wrote an op-ed that I'm waiting to see if it gets published in the Washington Post, is you've got to shame these people. It's one of the fundamentals of counter ideology warfare is you must bring so much shame that they start casting doubt on their own belief as to the justification of their violence. And the only way to do that is prison. A lot of them have to go to prison. Justice Department said today, there's none of this pulling punches on 800 people. Everyone's getting charged.
And Biden has already announced that, that they are doing a deep dive on what we know is our number one threat: right-wing, white supremacist violence in America, extremism, terrorism. And, you're a terrorism expert, analyst that, is in high demand on TV. And you've been warning the same thing for years. He's trying to foment civil war. This threat, the domestic terrorist threat, is real. And now here we are, right?
Well, we were, well, I recall being called a conspiracy theorist and a fabulist on my own channel by somebody named
Yes,
Sullivan.
somebody. Yes.
Some guy.
Oh my God. You're like my TV husband. I get so mad when I'm like, don't you come after my Malcolm Nance. Oh my God.
Well, I just find it amusing that now everyone is on that page. You have to start listening to the experts. I mean, John Brennan, Clint Watts, all these guys who are talking out there. We're not just discovering this stuff now. I had someone say recently, it was like, well, I actually had someone turn down this book, a publisher, and they said, we would rather have a journalist do a deep dive on this subject. And I said, and you'll get that book 3 years from now, after I've already published it. You know, there's a reason that people in the intelligence community are in the intelligence community. We warn you of imminent or developing threats so that you don't have to write books about the Capitol insurrection. If they had listened to, there would have been proper security at the Capitol. There would have been adequate security for the threat.
And Malcolm, I obviously had been waiting to get your assessment of this huge breaking story of the, Capitol Police saying they were ordered not to, that obviously somebody high up at the Pentagon, I wonder, ordered them to stand down, basically. That they took away their ability to order troops in, right?
2 weeks ago.
In time. Sorry.
Yeah. 2 weeks ago, I spoke at the first hearing on security at the Capitol during the riot for the Congressional Black Caucus. And if you go to my Twitter feed, you can find it. But I said quite specifically, what you saw here was the ultimate white privilege. The entire mindset of the national security apparatus of the United States government, from Pentagon to the Capitol Hill Police, was these are white protesters. They are not Antifa. They're not bringing guns. Therefore, they're here at the
Trump, and they're Trump supporters
of Trump, and they are not going to do anything. So let's just have the regular day shift at the Capitol for the gate guards on watch there. Normally, they would have had all 3 watch shifts and the emergency reserve, 3,000 cops there, and they would have requested 400 to 1,000 National Guard. The National Guard was so disarmed, the commander of DC National Guard said that new Secretary of Defense, the acting Secretary of Defense that Trump had put in, specifically told them that they could not do anything until they got express permission. While they were being asked by Mike Pence's security detail to bring the guardsmen who were right down Pennsylvania Avenue, who could have rolled out a couple of hundred guys on contingency, they had to wait an hour and a half, and the protest was actually walking away. They were actually finished from that. That could have been a mass murder. And the only reason it occurred was they were white people who were Trump supporters. And the entire system was designed to believe they wouldn't do anything because despite the fact all the intelligence showed. I had 6 people monitoring it real time to see if there was a breach going on in the building. If you look at my Twitter feed, I was throwing warnings around anywhere that they're coming to break into the building. But you know what? That kind of intelligence has to be believed by the intelligence consumer. And if the consumer believes, oh, they're just white people with nooses, no one's going to get lynched because they're nice folks, well, you've just failed yourself in the entire mission. This is they need a national commission for the investigation of this. People need to be held criminally accountable. Not just expelled from Congress. And also, Malcolm, never say never, but time is not going to be their friend in this impeachment. I mean, depending on what comes out, I'm not saying Republicans will do the right thing because it's the right thing, but they may be forced to because they have to, between the evidence that comes out between now and February 8th or 9th when this really gets rolling. So stand by and stand down. And also, thank you for defending all your friends like April Ryan at Politicon, and also Maya Wiley, mayor of New York. New York City needs strong community activists and fighters like my friend Maya Wiley in office. Yay. Thanks for giving a shout out for our mutual friend. Maya's running for mayor, so you guys should get out there and give her a boost up.
She is magical, just like you. All right, honey, love you. Oh, wait, real quick. Hang on. Oh my God, we have a president that's funny that's back. Hang on. Did you see this exchange with Peter Doocy from Fox? Real quick. I don't know if you saw this with Biden.
You.
Oh
my God. So Peter
like,
Doocy yelled out, what did you talk to Putin about? And Biden stops and just says, you. He sends his best. Oh my God.
And dogs in the White House, y'all.
Oh, yep. Champ and Major are giving me life. Oh my God.
They got a Twitter feed.
Yeah, I know. With the worst dog puns ever, and I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it. Oh my God. Love you, Malcolm.